Jim Kambosos. We're here, the Big Apple, place you're very familiar with. I just want to talk some statistics. Every time you've brought George here, you've brought a world champion, you've only ever scored knockdowns, and you've never lost. How good does it feel be back in the Big Apple and Madison Square Garden itself?
Mate, it's a pleasure to be back on your platform. You know what? We fought a champion and an ex-former world champion as well, Mickey Bay, 2019, 2021 Teofimo, in the Big Apple, you know, Madison Square Garden. So, you know, 2-0 George Kambosos is brilliant. And obviously the hotel we're staying at right now, the New Yorker, it's the hotel that we stayed at for Teofimo Lopez. So everything feels the same as the Teofimo fight week, you know, so the vibe's good. But there's a lot of little things popping up all the time that kind of remind us back in fight week with Teo. And obviously yesterday's face-off up at the Empire State Building, you can see how that took place, and there's a lot of heat between these two guys come Saturday night.
Now I've seen Keith Connolly, the manager of Richardson Hitchins, wants a $50,000 bet placed. What's the go there? It's quite a small bet.
Look, to be fair, small bet, big bet, whichever way you want to look at it. Personally, that just tells me that Keith Connolly has negotiated a good deal for his fighter. You know, his fighter's calling out a $50,000 bet with George, which is a one-on-one on the odds. And Keith's kind of backing him as well and telling him, you know what, we want to see that 50,000. Well, you know what, George Kambosos is an underdog once again in this fight at 7 or 8 to 1. So George's financial advisor said, listen, we've seen all the you know, the to and fro on social media. How about you listen to your advisors and put your 50K on 8 to 1? You'll get a better return than 1 to 1. So that's just those guys hung up on the 50,000. They've been hung up on it for 6 weeks, you know. Well, we've moved on and we actually sucked them into our own game. You know what? You can worry about your 50K. George already, you know, got his advisors at 8 to 1, so he's going to make, you know, 350K when he kicks his ass. But I think that's just the bad management and negotiator trying to pick up an extra 50 if they beat George, which they were going to lose another 50. So Hitchens will end up getting a lot less in his agreed purse.
Now, speaking on that bad management, we just seen Richardson Hitchins come into this hotel, eyes straight down, didn't say anything, didn't go on like he did yesterday. No. Do you think it really means anything that he's actually saying, or is he just trying to sell it as he's got no fans?
Mate, he's just fake. That's all he is. He's fake. He's coming to our hotel. They've all got their tails between their legs. And literally they've tippy-toed across the lobby, going upstairs to level 3 to the media room. It's exactly the same way. I'm telling you, there's a lot of things that are similar to the Teofimo fight. Teofimo was all loud, barking, carrying on, and then when he came for the media photo shoot, the hero shots and interviews, he tippy-toed across this lobby, and George was standing in the lobby and saw him, and literally he sneakily made his way up the media room. Hitchens did exactly the same thing today. So once again, this is all hype, this is all fugazi, this is all fake. You know what, the guy's not a real champion. He's the kind of guy that, you know, you got picked on at school and you run all the way home and cry to mummy, you know, what happened to him. So, you know what, yesterday was a bad omen too. That beautiful IBF belt.
What happened to the eagle?
The eagle fell off it. The eagle on the top of the belt fell off the belt. That goes to tell you that George Kambosos' presence and his aura, that eagle fell off the belt. The belt got damaged. That there is an omen in itself. It was so weird, unusual, but the eagle fell off the top of the belt. I sent the photo to the IBF and said, the eagle's fallen off the top of your belt. I sent it to the president of the IBF, Daryl Peoples. That there is a sign in itself that he's not a real champion. That belt does not belong to him. It belongs to the real eagle that's landed in New York, George Kambosos.
Do you believe it's another sign of disrespect? I mean, he's only held the belt since December, like, and you've already broken your first world title belt, like.
Yeah, I can imagine how he treats it. He probably just throws it around. You know, George Kambosos puts all his belts in the class, you know, case and with lighting and has the ultimate respect for him. You know, but yeah, I mean, for that belt to get damaged like that and an eagle fall off it, I can imagine how it's been treated. I mean, I would have brought that belt, you know, if it was George Kambosos, in its actual IBF case, because it comes in a beautiful leather case. These guys just turned up with the belt, you know, literally, where was the case to put it in? You know, you've got to protect your assets and what you've achieved. But like I said, there's two sides to a professional. They're not professionals. George Kambosos is the ultimate professional.
Now, you versed a very similar opponent to Hitchens, Devin Haney. However, we've seen a bit more skill out of Haney. Do you think this is, well, the blueprint's been set with the Lemos fight? Do you think George just has to push that pressure on Hitchens this time around, clip him, or how are you approaching this fight?
Look, I'm not going to give away too much. I mean, we've been preparing for 7 weeks in Montreal with some really, really good sparring guys. You know, guys that are actually faster than Hitchens. They move better than Hitchens. So we're prepared really well. I mean, you know, obviously, you know, Lemnos, he kind of exposed Hitchens. I mean, he should have won that fight. I mean, the guy didn't get the result he should have. But he exposed Hitchens for what it's worth. But like I said, Hitchens would have adapted and probably, you know, worked towards that. But we're not going to give away what we've been working on. Come Saturday night, it'll show.
Now, I think we're about 4 days out, 3 days out, sorry. What will you be up to? I mean, you've got your media requirements. Will you be keeping George just locked in the hotel with his family, or are you going to have him out, do a bit of stuff?
No, his family turned up today. George has been out and about, you know, like, you know, taking photos with his videographer, his team, and the media's around him. Just keeping everything normal, you know. You don't sit in your room counting down the minutes and the hours, you know, and the days until your fight night. You know, you keep everything as normal as possible. You know, you go through your daily routine, you know, your morning ritual, your coffee, you know, your team around you, and just keep it as normal as possible. The family's here now. They're staying at the hotel, so that's good to see them after 7 weeks. Once again, they're in separate rooms, so we're keeping it very professional. You know, we want to ensure that George is, you know, not, you know, being distracted by the children, and because they're only young. But no, everything's really good. It's like Lopez and Mickey Bay and every other fight that George has had. Just keep it simple.
So easy. Another thing I want to ask you about George, we haven't seen it since actually when he fought Teofimo. He's a bit more, I don't know, he sounds so hungry, like he just wants to be here and win this fight. What's changed in his mindset leading up to this fight?
I think the training camp has taken him away from his comfort zone at home. You know, setting up camp in Montreal. You know, we didn't do nothing in Montreal. We didn't go sightseeing. We did nothing. We literally trained. We went shopping to buy our food, groceries for the week. Went home, relaxed, trained again twice a day. So we did nothing. So George, probably 2 weeks out in Montreal, in his last sparring session, he said, you know what? I'm sick of staying in Montreal. I want to be in New York. I want to fight this guy because I'm ready to beat this guy. So coming into New York on Monday, and then obviously yesterday's face-off, I saw a George Kambosos who's chomping at the bit, clenching his jaw on the face-off. That's the same George that I saw when he fought Teo. But I'm seeing Richardson Hitchins the same as Teofimo. Yap, 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 yap. Nervous energy. And like I said, George is so hungry. George said to me once again, this guy ain't going to beat me on Saturday night. I'm prepared to die in this ring, and I'm going to beat this guy, and I'm taking that belt, and I'm becoming a 2-division champion on Saturday night.
Now, how big will that be for Australian boxing if George Kambosos is successful this weekend?
Huge. I mean, look, George Kambosos only fought the biggest names, you know, and we all know that, you know, no matter what you do, you're always going to get the flat. George Kambosos fought the biggest names, you know, the Lopez, the Mickey Bays, the you know, the Lopez's, you know, the Haneys, the Lomachenkos, you know, Lee Selby's for the Eliminator. You know, even before that, they're all big building names, platform, step by step.
Kumbala, no one gave him a chance.
Kumbala, no one gave him a chance. You know, Ogilvy, no one gave him a chance. So for Australian boxing and for George Kambosos to be on the biggest platform again in Madison Square Garden, the only ever Australian to win world title and become the undisputed champion. No other Australian's ever done that at Madison Square Garden, right? He's the only Australian ever to do it. To come back here again, fight for a world title and to become a 2-division champion, that's Hall of Fame, legacy, history, you call it what you want to call it. And Saturday night, we're going to know if that's something that George is done once again, which we're confident, and he raises the Australian flag and obviously the Greek flag for his heritage, and becomes an All-Australian. He's already a great, just becomes the ultimate great to do it again.
We've just seen, like, he went out for a coffee earlier. He's got fans already here in New York just waving out the windows for him.
I'm telling you, it's unbelievable. I mean, we've got some footage because we've got people following George around, videographers. You know, we go down the road to Starbucks, which is not even like here. We went for our medicals the other day. We went to Starbucks, 20-minute drive. And they, you know, the chauffeurs have come pick us up. We go to Starbucks to get a coffee because we were there early for the doctor. And you've got these Starbucks employees jumping out from the back of the counter and saying, mate, it's George Kambosos in Starbucks, we've got to get photos. Wherever George goes, he gets stopped, and photos and autographs and everything. I'll tell you one thing, I'm seeing George now in the background walking around, and he's so calm, he's so collected, he looks good. 140, no problem. No problem. Richardson, you're looking dry. But you know what? This is the level we're at, and you know, talk is talk. It's cheap. We all know that. Saturday night is where it's all going to play out. So looking forward to it.
Too easy. Thank you for your time, Jim.
No, you're more